Okay, morning everyone. Welcome to the briefing on Saturday, the 20th of May. Whizzing through this month. Right, bit of two halves of the weather pattern really, and also very contradicting forecasts. Sort of systems that are running this way down through the continent, and you can see the stuff that's running the other way across northern Scotland, and we're stuck in the middle. It's not really a col as such, but it's got that sort of feeling of that kind of air mass, certainly maybe in the middle of the country, that's not really going anywhere. Anyway, we can see from the isobars we've got a east-northeasterly flow, but they're not tightly packed, so not particularly strong wind, and pressure's reasonably high. Little sort of low developing over southern Germany. Not great weather there, I suspect, by the looks of it. Task fairly short. Let's just have a quick look at Farnborough, because they really only cover this morning, and the key points. 0408 knots, so 8 to 10 knots on the ground. Today, east northeasterly. Broken at 900 feet, which is the stuff we've sort of had first thing this morning, and sometime mid-morning it's then turning into scattered at 1400 feet. But if you then look at Gatwick, it says later on few at 4.5, so it's an improving picture all round on that one. And the upper winds, again, down in the channel, 20-25 knots at 2000 feet. Centre of the country, 10 knots at 2000 feet. Same sort of direction, 060, so northeast. Really, so we're probably halfway between the two. Let's opt for 15 knots at flying heights. As that pic shows, the sort of fog in places and the lower cloud, which is slowly lifting this morning and burning off. It's almost burnt off here. There's certainly some moisture around, and temperatures rising quite nicely. And I think 18 degrees is probably realistic, but it won't feel quite like that with a northeasterly wind when you stood at the launch point. More like about sort of wind chill, feeling about 10 or 12 degrees. Dew points, yeah, 7s, I think, realistically today. A bit lower than that now, but they will go a bit and sit around 7, I suspect. And looking at those numbers on the soundings, this sort of suggests here by sort of 1 o'clock, cloud base around here at about 4000 feet, but a very, very solid inversion here at about 6000 feet. So real chance of spread out, quite a lot of cloud in there and spread out. And similar sort of picture here, perhaps a slightly, you've got points here, temperature there. Okay, yeah, cloud base over 4000 feet, but lots and lots of spread out in and around here. And that's picked up by top meteo. That's around Lasham. Go a bit further north, Bicester Buckingham area, 1 o'clock picture. Not perhaps so high, 3,500 feet, but those two lines are further apart and less of an inversion in here. So smaller amounts of cumulus, if not the possibility a little bit blue up there, and less chance of spread out. And in the afternoon, looks quite nice. And I would say, you should get 4,000 foot, 4,500 foot above sea level in that area this afternoon. Top meteo, they're suggesting by sort of 12 o'clock we've got cumulus here and signs are spread out. And what they seem to be suggesting is north of Oxford blue or small amounts of cumulus. and Lasham is the centre of the spread out from lunchtime onwards. But better north of us and towards Oxford and Cambridgeshire. And thermal heights by sort of midday, saying it's a bit slow to get going here, but it's going earlier up further north. But by 12 o'clock, 3,500 feet. But it doesn't really, it's suggesting it doesn't get any much better here, but in the Midlands, north of Oxford and up to Husbos, 4,500 feet. And the same for the afternoon, it eventually gets to sort of 3,500 feet here. And it's suggesting lots and lots of spread out as well. As you would imagine, predicted flight distance according to their forecast shows it better to the north of us, with the green suggesting good for 400-500k, and getting away from here and going northwest. So that's one forecast. And if you then look at SkySight, which seems to completely contradict that, this is, let's go to 1 o'clock. Depth of thermals around Lasham and north of us, 11 to 1,300 meters, so 3,500 feet. And then in this area here, where top meteors were suggesting it's going to be quite good, 3,000 feet or less. Better later in the afternoon, 1,300 meters and 1,300 meters out to the north of us. So a little bit contradictory, and it's sort of showing that spread out in places certainly might sort of kill the day around us for a little bit. So hopefully better further north, but we'll get a reasonable day out of it here, I think. Okay, so what else is going on? No jet movements to speak of. Well, there's no flight plans filed as of 5 to 9 this morning. And NOTAMs for an airspace. You can see there's one right over us. We've filed a NOTAM that we're going to be busy today. And this one's well inside the airspace, so we're not going to worry about that. BBMF, there's lots of BBMF flights floating around, Ballabri Memorial flight stuff floating around all around here today. And the main things locally to us, Abingdon, active with a restricted airspace from 1,300 to 1,800 hours. These around here are no particular consequence. Number 20 is the Keble temporary danger area, and I'm going to have a look at that because I thought it was midweek only, but it's just NOTAM'd all the way through. I'll have a look at the AIP supplement today. Further north and east, Old Warden, they have got sort of aerobatics in that area all day, and then a restricted airspace from 17:15 to sunset. So hopefully that won't be an issue for anybody at that time of night. And up here, the large circle here is a paragliding and hang gliding competition. And that's about it. It's fairly quiet around the south of England, really. Operationally, we're going to be on runway 09 and we'll set up fairly shortly, normal operation. I think just come to the runway, folks, and we'll launch you as and when it gets going, as there's no jet movements. You leave the glider on the runway and we'll deal with it all from there. Okay, see you out there.